What's going on, the Copywriting Call podcast? Your boy Loso 2.0, the copy god himself. And today I have Miss Michaela over here. If you could please introduce yourself to the audience and a little bit about what you do.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Michaela Trainor. I am an ADHD coach. So, for those who don't know, it's attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So, I coach people, adults mainly, how to learn to thrive with their ADHD. And I am on the East Coast of Canada.
Okay, East Coast of Canada, second person from Canada on here. Welcome. I
Woohoo.
heard it's amazing over there. Beautiful over there. Is it beautiful where you're from on
It,
Canada?
it's pretty nice. Yeah. Yeah. I'm in New Brunswick. So, one of the best places in the world, I think.
Okay, all right, cool. Last person I think on here was from Vancouver, I'm pretty sure.
Other side.
Yeah, that's the other side. Yeah, he did say he was from like the West Coast and stuff. So that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. So you said you're ADHD coach. What inspired you really to start, this coaching business?
Well, I have ADHD myself. I was
Mhm.
diagnosed coming up to 20 years ago. And so helping others, like I was part of a support group through my psychiatrist, and that was really quite amazing. And I'd
Okay.
wanted to become a counselor, took courses, yada yada. And that's not exactly what I wanted to do, but now the last couple of years I decided, okay, coaching, I love coaching. Somebody had mentioned coaching, and I was like, ooh, that sounds like exactly what I need to do, you know?
Yeah,
Because
no.
I coach people anyway, so I might as well try to make some money off of it. I still am I'm back to my retail job
Mhm.
at the moment. So, and that's okay. I'm happy with
Yeah,
that.
of
Right?
course. Of course. Of course. There's nothing wrong working a 9 to 5. I actually think I did an episode on that. Like it's okay it's called the chicken entrepreneur approach. You have a 9 to 5 until your business makes 2 times as much as your job. You quit your job. That's all it is. It takes
Well,
time.
that's it. That is it. It does take time, right? And inflation and everything. So I'm happy to work, you know, come
Yeah,
back
no,
to
of
work,
course.
and
The retail
it's
job,
awesome.
where's that work at?
It's a great Canadian dollar store.
Great Canadian
So
dollar.
yeah, yeah. I had worked there before the pandemic, and then I
Mhm.
quit because I thought I was going to be coaching, and I haven't quite made my money yet, but that's okay. And then I was invited to come back anytime, so I decided a few months ago that yeah, I
Of
will
course.
come back, and I have a better attitude towards it. I mean, I always had a pretty good attitude anyway, but it's a much easier approach this time
Mhm.
around for some
Yeah.
reason.
No, I got you. I got you. I got you. You said how long have you been doing ADH business for? Coaching business?
My coaching business, I really started to get into it a couple of years ago.
Okay. So you're still in the
Yeah.
beginning stages,
Definitely beginning stages, definitely. And and working, listening to some other ADHD coaches themselves, like it's because of our ADHD, we got to work, when we want to work kind of deal, got to work with it as opposed
Mhm.
to like, different coaches, different approaches.
Yeah.
And I just kind of pick and choose kind of what might work for me, and not everything's going to work. So
Yeah.
I've just been planting seeds, as I call it, over the last couple of years.
Exactly. Exactly. I think do you listen to a lot of motivational speakers?
Um, yeah, quite a bit. I listen, and I've reading some books, and
Yeah. I think
good
Eric
books.
Thomas,
Yeah.
he had to wait 18 years of posting free YouTube videos until he blew up and became a millionaire basically overnight. 18 years straight.
But that's not really overnight, though. That's 18 years.
Yeah, 18 years. They like to call themselves 10, like Dan Locke, he likes to call himself 7 year overnight success. Doing seven
There you
years,
go.
not making no money, then boom, out of nowhere, blows up, and then he starts making money. So it's like, yeah, it takes time. You know what I mean? I think it
Oh,
says
for sure.
a tree. I think a tree first 5 years, it doesn't even come off the ground yet, and then you see the little bit come off the ground, and you're like, oh, what's going on? But then it sprouts up in the next year though. So yeah,
Because everything else, all the roots, right?
yep,
You know,
exactly, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So so you said you were inspired doing it because you have ADHD yourself. Now, do you think that's helping you to connect with your clients on a deeper level because now you know where they're coming from, or?
Oh, absolutely. Because if I was going to see someone, whether it be counselor, coach, whatever, if they're doing it in a neurotypical way, like it's much harder to kind of figure out. Whereas if I know that I've got ADHD and this person ADHD, we actually connect before you even know. And then the person will say, oh, well, I have ADHD and blah, blah. And you go, well, I do too. Well, no wonder, we're such buds at the beginning. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say diagnose, but I can pick anybody out and go, I bet you they have ADHD. And then, if you talk to them, you go, yeah, well, bingo. Cause you have similar traits, similar issues, Yeah.
Okay. So question then. So for the audience that really doesn't have like an idea of ADHD, really what it is, could you give us like a little bit of explanation or?
Yeah, absolutely. People will say, well, everybody's got a little bit of ADHD. Well, in certain aspects, I can concede that because, our attention spans are so much shorter in a lot of ways because information's coming at us so darn quick that, move from one thing to the other. But ADHD, it kind of, there's like three main deficits, and I hate to call them deficits, but it really comes into focus with your inattention. So it's the ability to know what to focus on or what you need to do, and we kind of call that your executive dysfunction.
Okay.
So, if you were to, let's say, the kitchen needs to be cleaned, but you're just sitting there scrolling through Facebook or whatever, because like, you don't know where to start. It becomes overwhelming. You should do it.
I might have it.
But that's not just a once in a while. That's like an all the time. And then it gets worse and worse and worse. And then it will show through sometimes through your impulsivity. So your difficulty in controlling urges, or you interrupt people all the time, or speaking, you're having a hard time waiting your turn. And some of this is, you can catch in early childhood. With girls, it tends to be diagnosed a lot later, which is why I was diagnosed at the age of 28, 29, because I was so quiet as a child. So it was about, lack of, not working up to my potential, which was irksome. Or your hyperactivity, which typically you see these hyperactive boys usually, right? You know what they are, like they're little Tasmanian devils kind of deal, right? So, but that will come through, and not just in one aspect. It could come through your schooling, through at home, or, at work, and it affects your daily life like crazy,
Yeah, no. So, I mean, you mentioned three different types, right? Like you were saying, one is like, for example, like you got to get the kitchen done, but you're just scrolling on Facebook because you don't know where to start. It seems overwhelming. Do you feel like ADHD is like something that's more like biological, or is it kind of like learned in a way?
It's definitely, it can be trauma related, absolutely,
Okay.
or comorbid with depression, anxiety, and sometimes those manifest as those symptoms, or you have ADHD, and so it's goes along with that, and so you have depression because you're supposed to get this done, or you're overwhelmed, so your anxiety just kind of amps up. And then it's also comorbid with all kinds of other things like bipolar and autism and those types of deals. So I'm sorry, back to your question about what was it about the
Was it biological or was it learned?
Oh, biological. Oh, it's definitely it's for the most part it's a brain thing. It's neurological. It's definitely neurological. Like there have been a ton of brain scans done with a neurotypical person versus a neurodiverse person, and there is massive differences. And what I like to do is, you will have ADHD. You don't usually outgrow your ADHD unless you don't have it in the first place. You can, but you work through your symptoms. You learn to accept that, okay, this is who I am. And then a lot of that anxiety, once you realize, okay, well, this is me. And then you don't worry about all the things that occur. You're going to forget things sometimes, sure. But if you're not so worried about forgetting things, or knowing that, your house is not going to be clean all the time because that's, you have other things to concentrate on. Like your laundry is always going to be there anyway. So you just do a little bit at a time. Can't do all your laundry today. Can't clean your whole bathroom today. Well, you know what? You're in there for 5 minutes. Wipe down the counter. You're in the kitchen. You don't have a dishwasher. You got to do your dishes. So while you're making your supper, while you're waiting for your toast to toast, see how many dishes you can do. And I find it just little bits at a time. That helps.
Yeah.
Just do what works for you. Garbage can in every place. You need 3 garbage cans in your room. Well, then go for it. Just do what works for you. And, that's essentially.
Okay. So it seems kind of like the solution for it, or I wouldn't even say solution, but something that helps out with it, to like close that gap is almost what it takes to be an entrepreneur, right? Doing a little bit at a time.
Pretty much.
Sometimes
absolutely.
So anyone diagnosed with ADHD pretty much makes a great entrepreneur then, huh?
Pretty much. But certainly, medication helps. If you need medication, I'm all for that. If you don't need medication, then don't do your medication. See someone about your symptoms, absolutely, or read about it, or it's not just a one size fits all.
Yeah,
either.
Of course. So anything, yeah.
But being on your medication, or doing one thing will certainly help you cope with other things.
Okay. Yeah, no, that definitely makes
sense.
It's
just like if you're wearing glasses. Well, if you didn't wear glasses, you can't see.
Yeah, I can't.
So your medication or some other things, they'll help you. So, see, how to function better, or how to function better for you, whatever that looks like for you.
Okay. All right. That's nice. So is that the approach that you take when you're coaching your different, clients? Or
that's correct. Yeah.
That is what you do. Okay. That's cool. So I remember you said you coach people with ADHD how to run a business?
No, how to just live better, how to thrive.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Rather than survive. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's all good. So, what are some things that you do for your mental health, right? So I know that you running the business and stuff like that, especially working 9 to 5. I understand. I mean, I think I work more like a 9 to 9 because I'm a salary. But yeah. So working 9 to 5 and doing your business and then quitting your job and having to come back and stuff. All that stuff can put you on an emotional roller coaster. How do you kind of deal with your mental health and stuff?
Yeah, so I'm pretty good with that, and as I've learned over the last few years, doing different programs and listening to other people, like I'll read, or I like having some alone time. Like I live with my husband, my son, and my dog, so sometimes I just like to sit in my room for a little bit, or I'll go sit in the car, go for a little drive. We have a couple of parks nearby. Sometimes I'll go and I'll sit in front of the water and I just, look at the water and that's good. Or, I really, I had a massage there a couple of weeks ago and that was really good. Before I would feel guilty about getting a massage, but the massage is like, hello. It's good for you. And then I came home and I was like, oh, this feels really good. And it was just like a pedicure, which would massage your legs down. I'm like, wow, like I should do this more often because now I feel better about myself. My health feels better. And then therefore now I can do I'm more apt to do more things at home because I feel better. Okay. So you need to take the time to do things for yourself, because you cannot serve from an empty cup. You have to, fill that cup till it's overflowing and serve from your saucer.
That is 100%. I agree with that. It reminds me of like when you on a plane and it's like when the thing comes down, put the mask on yourself first before you put it on the next person to save the next person.
Well, that's right. Because you're no good. You are no good to anybody else if you're not good to yourself. Because you will run out of steam. You will get burnt out.
No, I definitely agree. Another thing that I noticed was this guy, he would say like, he's not selfless because that makes him less of himself. And I was like,
I like that.
That's why he's not selfless all the time, because he's like, why would I be less of myself? Just, what I mean? That's why he's selfish. I was like, okay, that's a cool little thing. His name is Billionaire PA. If you want to look him up, he's pretty good motivational speaker and stuff like that. I definitely like the way he talks. That's cool that you look at that as well. So I know that you mentioned that you're married and stuff. Do you feel like being diagnosed with ADHD um affects the marriage at all, or?
Well, it does and it doesn't because, well, I guess in reality it does, because in the beginning when we got together and stuff, like he'd say, you're not looking me in the eye, or, and I
Mm-hmm.
would try, or there'd be certain things he didn't understand. And I have told him a couple times, I said, and it didn't take very long to understand that either. Like, these are the certain things, this is how I am, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
sometimes you want to talk to me, that's great. But sometimes, like if the TV is on, I will, my brain just goes to the TV. If you want me to listen to you, like you have to turn off the TV, or, make me look at you, or at least let me, no, acknowledge the fact that, okay, like I want to say something here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's just, I'm not ignoring you on purpose, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I definitely get you. It's funny because I feel like if my wife just answered with "that's just how I am," I'll be like, "Come on now." Like, but I'm glad that you made a plan though to it as well. Though, like, hey, listen, this is how I am. So since I'm this way, we have to do, this. Like, you got to turn TV off and stuff. So you were able to, and your husband was able to cooperate and create a plan to basically help you
Right.
guys coexist even better.
Well, absolutely. And he's got some other tendencies as well. So it's not just me, but like,
Mm-hmm.
we accept each other for who we are,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, sometimes I'll, get out of myself, and I've always said to my son, and I believe he's got it as well, he hasn't been diagnosed, but he'll want to talk to me about his game, and he's 21, about
Mm-hmm.
his games. This has been for a number of years, and I'll say, sometimes I try to listen, and then
Mm-hmm.
it goes on for a long time and I kind of zone out. And there'll be lots of times I am not in the mood for listening, and I'll say, look, I'm not listening, right? And he goes, yeah, I know, but I have to tell you anyway. That's fine. Just know that my eyes are glazing over and I'm not really listening. That's fine. Or,
Mm-hmm.
if you want me to listen and talk to you, or the other way around with my son, like if it's really important, I want you to look at me. Or if you can't really look at me, I want you to know that I'm listening. And I'll say, okay, repeat. What did I just say? What did I just ask of you? And then, then there's something. So you just got to make plans for, it's not an excuse, but it's certainly, there's ways to work around it,
Yeah. No, I
And
totally agree.
I laugh stuff off because I will walk out the door and I always forget something. So I usually have to come back home unless I'm too far away. Like, well, I don't really need it anyway.
Yeah, no,
Whoops.
definitely. So, yeah, no, that's actually what you were saying is a good idea for coaching as well. So basically, that's what my 9 to 5 or 9 to 9 job really is. Like, I'm a district manager, so like, I spend all my time just coaching people how to sell. So it's like one of the things I always do is like, okay, now I need you to teach it back to me so that I understand that you understand what's going on, and I know that like you were listening as well. So I think that's
Right.
definitely that's good signs of a good coach. Obviously you know what you're doing. So with your coaching and stuff like that and mental health, how was your, I guess, like spirituality in all of it? Do you take a lot of time doing stuff for like your spirit and stuff like that? Like, are you meditating, or what do you do?
Well, I do some meditation when I get around it, but really, like, my meditating, I will just kind of like go sit outside, or go, just even being by myself for a little bit. That to me is kind of my clear
Mm-hmm.
my head kind of deal,
Mm-hmm.
because I find when I meditate, or when it's other people led meditation, like I've done things with Christian Michelson and Tony Robbins, and those
Okay.
kinds of things, and they'll do meditation, and I find like I fall asleep, because it's so relaxing. You just hear somebody's voice and you kind of, I'm relaxed. And before, when I first started, my mind was racing all the time, like thinking about this, thinking about that. And I can't go back to, okay, listen to your breathing,
Yeah, that's funny. I was
so
about
I
to
can
ask,
kind of
what's
get
that?
into it pretty quick.
I was just about to ask, is that difficult to meditate? Being as though, yeah, I mean, diagnosed, because you got to sit
Well,
still, right?
it definitely takes some time. A lot of people with ADHD, they say, oh, they can't meditate. Well, maybe not right away, but it's okay to have your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Just acknowledge the fact that they're there, and then try to get back to your breathing. That's okay.
Okay.
Nobody was born knowing how to meditate, really.
Yeah. 100%, 100%. Yeah, no, I think, yeah, actually, no, I don't even think I know how to do it really still now this day. I just sit, close my eyes and breathe. I do a nice little 2 minutes and I'm like, all right, cool, let's get it. My day's starting now.
Yeah, as long as you're kind of centered to yourself. And Christian Michelson also does this peace process where if you bring out your emotions or you think of something, something that's anxiety reducing. Okay, well, just kind of you got to bring it into yourself, listen to wherever the pain is most in your body,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just kind of give it love and acceptance and guidance, and kind of stay out of your head and into your body. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, other people have done it too, but this is how he teaches it. And then he calls it the peace process. And then eventually, at some point, it could be really fast or it could take a long time, and like that the pain goes somewhere else, or kind of like I find a lot of people kind of breaks up and it moves, and then all of a sudden it's
Mm-hmm.
gone. So to me, I feel like I was doing that anyway. So I learned that fairly quickly because I
Yeah.
felt like, okay, because if you stuff down your emotions, that's not a good thing, right? Because they
Mm-hmm.
manifest somewhere in your body, I find
Yeah.
too. And certainly there are certain places where, okay, you don't want to do that right now. But then you go back and you go home or wherever in a safe space and kind of, okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool. So yeah, you mentioned Christian Michelson and Tony Robbins. Are you a reader at all or?
Oh, I read and I've, listened to well, I don't do a lot of listening to podcasts, so I find that hard to do. But videos and stuff or live trainings that I've done.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So what book are you reading right now?
Oh my gosh, I've got a few on the go, but one that speaks to mine right now is actually I found it at a book sale for $2. Is Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh, Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's my. So what's the biggest lesson that you're learning from it so far?
Well, I'm only about halfway through, but I've kind of like my dad was an accountant and I know a lot about, debits and credits and, net
Yeah.
and loss and all of those things. But just for me, the way that he showed like the picture, I was
Oh,
like,
Roger.
it finally got to me. I mean, I know in my head, but to actually see it in the physical picture, I was like,
Mhm.
that makes so much sense.
Yeah,
So
it
much
does.
sense,
It does. It does. 100%. And really, if you think about it, they're actually they're steps. If you think about it, because it's ESBI. You go from employee to a small business, then you go that to a big business, and then you go to an investor. So it's like
Right.
that. That's how I look at it. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, so it's a step.
And
It's a guide.
for him to be able to show that without even any numbers, it was just like this and this and this. It's like, okay, now I really get it now. One of these days I'm going to be able to do that, but not right now, and that's okay. But and my money mindset has
Mm-hmm.
been that was huge for me. Because I thought I was okay, but my parents made good money, or my dad made good money, but it was always, we don't have enough money for this, or we don't have enough money for that. And I'd be like, oh, so why do you guys have two Cadillacs sitting in the driveway and we got a big house and we're going on vacation and mom's buying all these clothes. So you can't tell me we can't afford it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, once I followed like some different people with money mindset, I was like, okay, my mind kind of shifted. Okay, I am privileged. Okay, so we don't make it to the end. We always make it to the end of the month, which I was always good at. I was always, okay, it always works out. It always works out. And now I'm like, okay, I'm grateful to be able to pay for these things. My husband does now, but he pays the bills, but he'll say, oh, well, we don't, all my money goes to bills. He said, yeah, but you have the money to pay the bills. Be grateful. Let's be grateful to pay the money of the bills.
Yeah, changing
We
that.
got a great big tax refund. He owed a bunch of money on, unbeknownst to him, whatever. Different situation. But anyway, my dad was able to help him take care of that and was able to get the interest back on what he owed. So that came in yesterday. Our van was in the garage for, I don't know, 3 weeks, a month. And we were supposed to be able to get it today. And we thought we were only going to be able to pay like half of it and pick it up next week with the other half.
Mm-hmm.
The money came in today. So we were able to pick up the van. I said, and there's money left over. I said, so, this is fantastic.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely, definitely. That's all. That's the biggest lesson I got from that too. Was like it's a the language. Like stop using the word if. It's like when, and stop looking at the glass is like half empty. Start looking at it's half full. So I definitely agree with that. Now, if you had one big lesson to leave any of the readers in the audience, what would you say?
What would I say? Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, mindset. Your mindset matters. What you focus on
Mm-hmm.
is what will happen. So if
100%.
you never have enough money at the end of the month, then you're not gonna, you know,
Mhm.
right? So what you focus on is definitely what will happen. I think that's basically the big lesson,
Yeah.
because in with ADHD or whatever you've got, like what is what's right with it rather than
Mhm.
what's wrong with it.
I like that. Looking at the positive, looking at the positive. So if someone from the audience, self-diagnoses themselves on Google, or they really do get diagnosed with ADHD and they want to reach out to you for some assistance, how can they get in contact with you?
Um, there's authentic divine design at gmail.com, or you can look up my name, Michaela Trainor. Yeah.
Okay. So Michaela Trainor, and by the way, that is spelled Michaela.
And
And
last name Trainor.
okay, Michaela Trainor, Michaela Trainor. So it was a pleasure having you on this podcast. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know it's late over there in Canada, to get on here and give us some great insights on ADHD, bringing everything to light. I'm telling you, I think I got it. But we'll see, though. We'll see.
Well,
Um,
it was a pleasure being. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh yeah, no, of course, of course, of course. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, like, and share this channel. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anything, 5 stars definitely does the job. So I want you guys to, keep killing the day. And just remember, you pray for marketing like this. Copy got out.